So what I'm going to be doing is going over a trade that some people lost on today, which was on Docu, and I'm going to be answering questions, stock market related, or just whatever you have. It can be about the Discord, about anything really. But I'm going to give everyone just a couple more minutes to join because I said I was starting at 12. How was everyone's day so far, other than that Docu trade? Okay. One win, one loss. Hopefully the loser was smaller than the winner. Yeah, today has been a little difficult, but it happens. We come off a very strong week last week. A lot of money was made last week. Sometimes it can affect our mindset going into the coming week, and it can sometimes come back and get us. How many people do we have on here now? 26. Okay. I'm going to start this. Can everyone see my screen? You can see my screen? Wendy? Everybody? Awesome. Let me pull up the 5-minute chart here. Okay. Now, I said I'm going to cover this Docu trade. We got in this trade. My level on my watch list said Docu above 70. Right? So, this was a gap fill trade. Let me show you the daily so I can just cover that. Sorry, someone was DMing me when I was saying that. See this gap on the daily time frame, huge gap. So that's what I was looking for. Typically, when you get into these with good volume, you have a decent move. And I thought that we had room up to the 73 area. And I even said this pre-market, before market open, I said this to all members. I said, what's so good about these types of trades, gap fill trades? You know exactly when to get out. So if you get in, you see bids holding above the 70 level and you get in, if it falls back below, you simply just get out at that level. A safer entry for these type of trades are when it retests. So say it breaks above that, comes back down, retests that area, and you see, buyers stepping back in, that would be a possible entry. Anything off the opening candle, like any scalps off the opening 5-minute candle, are high risk. It can get away from you quickly if you don't know what you're doing. I recommend staying away from these because honestly, they're probably the highest risk type of trades that there is. But anyways, we got in this trade. The contracts were up a little bit over $20 at one point. Personally, I didn't really trim much here. I stopped completely out when we come back down to this level. I didn't lose much money. I lost less than $100, but my stop loss was at my entry point on this trade. So we went up, contracts were up. I should have trimmed more. We come back down. I simply stopped out at what I paid for the contracts. It did fill me for a little less. That's why I took a roughly $100 loss on this trade. Anytime you're in a gap, I'm going to keep repeating this because people lost money on this. Anytime you're trading a gap fill, if it falls back below that level, get out. Even if it comes back into it today, I may try it again. But same thing applies. If it fails it, I will just get out. It doesn't always fill the gap. Is everyone understanding what I'm saying? Do you have any questions related to this type of trade? Why you lost money? You cannot hold on for hope. Holding on for hope will get you smoked 9 times out of 10. Honestly, with the price of contracts, we should have trimmed. I should have trimmed half my position at that 70.7 area. No one? No questions? I know a lot of people was asking about this. Okay. Okay, I want to talk about a trade I took on Microsoft today. If there's no questions, let's look at the 1 minute. You can see it better on the 1 minute for this trade. this 20 EMA bounce. Let's look at the hourly chart. I gave you all this level pre-market, but you can see here around 8, which is roughly an hour before market opens, hour and a half. The 20 EMA, which is this black indicator here. This black indicator is my 20 EMA. Now there's a thing called the 20 EMA bounce. I know you hear Jay Dunn talk about this often. But the rules are, if you haven't touched this area any during pre-market and you're up above it, you can, on the hourly time frame, you have to be looking at the hourly time frame. If you can chart it out. I recommend doing this within an hour of market open because it can change some. Mark out where your 20 EMA is and watch for a pullback. Watch volume. You don't want to see the entire market pulling back too hard. You don't want to see an increase in selling volume once you near this level. But what you're looking to do is purchase calls in this area for a bounce. You're going to make money on the way up. And let's go back to the 1 minute time frame. Since I covered that, we pulled down here. I took some calls in this area. As you can see here, nice move up, over $1 move up. Contracts move really well. This was small account friendly and it played out nicely. I'm surprised I didn't see more members posting profits from this. Does anyone have any questions about the 20 EMA bounce? And feel free to ask any questions you have right here in chat. That's what I'm trying to do, is just make this more of a question and answers class. Or if you have anything you'd like me to touch on specifically, I will do that. Chef, no, as long as it's above it pre-market, I'll try it. Above the 20 EMA on the hourly pre-market. You can tell. You can tell by volume whether it's going to bounce or not most of the time. If it just has, like, you see a huge red candle coming up when you're near that level, it may be your best bet to set that one out. Yes, Josh, ask here. Yes, I took Microsoft calls. If you see my watch list, go to my watch list on my channel. You see my bounce level on Microsoft. I'm already out of this. This trade lasted about a minute, a little over a minute actually, and I was out completely. Jay Dunn called this one out himself in voice. I was watching it as well. It was on my watch list. Everyone that's listening to me, you have to go to the webinar questions in the Discord to ask these. I just now send your messages. The bounce was at the 266 area on Microsoft. Another trade I took this one with Brandon, was on BABA, ticker BABA. I don't remember exact entry in this. Let's look at the 5 minute here. This was a really good trade. I think we just took this. We took it off this pullback. We pulled back down to this. We retested. Yeah, we took it off this retest. It pulled back. We got in here. We had nice volume. Come back up, orbed. This was a very nice trade. The contracts moved amazing on this trade. I don't know if anybody caught this with Brandon, but it was a nice trade. Honestly, you could have traded it for orb, but you didn't. It didn't orb. Didn't have a huge move after that orb. Let's see what the 1 minute tells us. Okay, yeah. I think I actually took it off this flag break. Can't remember on this one. I should have wrote this down. I was going to talk about my entry, but I don't remember where I got in. A good entry would have been off this 9 EMA here from what I'm seeing. We didn't have huge volume, but we consolidated back, like kind of a little flag formation here. Then we pushed off the the 9 EMA here on the 1 minute. BABA has weird volume anyways. The China stocks are a little weird sometimes. Anybody have any questions? Someone ask some questions, because I can just ramble on here about all the trades I've took, or if you want me to check out something for you. See some people typing. Can we give them a second? The studies I have on my chart, here, let me just share that with you all. Right here they are. All my studies. You can take a picture of that. This new study is called Prior Day Close. I found this in a YouTube video I was watching, and I don't remember the YouTube video, but I'm sure you can Google Prior Day Close and find the study. You have to add it in manually. My favorite strategy for finding a bounce location, I like the 20 EMA bounce, and I like taking bounces off of support. Let me show you, give you an example. Roblox. This is a good example. This 34 area on Roblox was a support. I looked at it earlier. That's how I know. Support and resistance. For those of you that's not familiar with that, I have a video that covers support and resistance in depth on my YouTube channel. But when you're watching for these bounce levels, let's go to the 5 minute. I watch the 5 minute mostly until I get into the trade. You want to see selling volume decreasing as you near these support levels. This is not the best example, but you can see it going down there. This was a nice support. We fell below what, like not even 25 cents. Keep in mind the these are bounce areas. This is not an exact number. It could bounce 50 cents to either side of these. Let's keep that in mind. If you do take an early entry on these bounces, just remember that can add to your loss. I do that sometimes, but I'm always prepared to, it adds the chance of an extra loss. Or if you want to wait to ride at it, there's nothing wrong with that. But I have missed out on trades before waiting to the exact level. So what I like to do personally, I like to start my position a little bit before. If we pull to it, I'll add to my position in that area. That's how I do it. That's how I personally handle bounces. But if you want to wait till the exact bounce, you can. If you don't catch it, oh well. At least you're not losing money, right? The new study is prior day close, which is, it just shows you what the stock closed at the day before. I just stop out. Well, that's a good question. Tony asks, when you add early, how do you determine your stop loss? Me personally, I keep a pretty tight stop loss on all these trades, especially scalp and day trades. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how to answer that. I guess it would be Um, there's a couple of different ways I do it. If there's a whole number close, I simply go to right on the other side of that, because a lot of times I feel like it's a psychological game. They're trying to stop you out. So I may go right on the other side of that whole number because it may pull back to that whole number before it bounces. Or I just simply follow my trading plan regardless. So if I go into this trade with the mindset that I'm going to make 10%, or let's say if I'm going to this trade with the mindset that this could be $1,000 trade, right? That's my goal profit, my profit goal. So I'm not going to be willing to lose 1,000 to make 1,000. So my stop loss will probably be around that 300 to 500 area on that trade, closer to 300. I rarely let it go to 500. That way, I know I've said this a million times, but my losses can be smaller. I can literally lose 50% of the time and still be a profitable trader. Not that I'm going to lose that much, but any questions you have, please type them in. I want to make sure I answer all questions. But like I said, I treat bounces as scalps. So I start locking in profits almost immediately. Once we get that first bounce up, I trim or sell half my position, and I adjust my stop loss to my entry and let the rest ride. So if it drops down, I sell what I paid, or if it continues up, I catch additional gains and trim on the way up. My stop loss, I base it off of my position size. Honestly, or yeah, you can base it off your position size if you like. There's different ways to handle it, and I handle different trades differently. A lot of it comes from experience. Honestly, I don't know, because you do have to give them room to run. But once you've been in this for a minute, you can understand, okay, this is failing. The overall market's pulling. It's time to get out of this trade. Regardless of any of that, though, you always follow your trading plan. So if your trading plan says you stop out at 50% on each trade, you stop out at 50%, which I don't recommend going nowhere near that on a day trade. But on swing trades, that's what I do. I do 50% stop loss. And when it reaches that 50%, I get out no matter what. If your trading plan says your stop loss is at 20%, you stop out at 20%. Someone asked, how do you find stocks to put on your daily watch list? Is there a specific setup you look for, like how Brandon looks for squeezes? That's a good question. And I'm going to answer that in the most simple way possible. I can tell good setups. I've just looked at thousands of charts. I've got a lot of hours into doing this, but I like setups that have room. So if I'm looking, for example, let's look at, let's just look at Microsoft. So, trying to think right here. So if I was looking to trade Microsoft above like this 262 for calls, right? I'm not going to trade this. I'm not going to look to take this long if the next resistance is at 262 or 263. You got to have room. I like to have room. Like you see here, Jaden talking about a spaghetti chart. That shows him if he has room. He has all them indicators. And when he sees a gap at a potential long entry, that gives, that's his room he's looking for. For me, I look for resistance up above that, or I look for key indicators on like the weekly time frame. Like, let's go to weekly here. Like I was talking about this let's just go to Apple. I was talking about this on my YouTube video yesterday that I posted. If we broke this long level, I think we could reject that 20 EMA or that 9 EMA on their weekly, because you can see we've come up here, we've respected it twice. Well, you can see back here even more than that, which it did break a little here, but we have respected it twice in the past month. And I think if we pull up, we could have a nice reject here. I don't look for a lot of continuation, but I do think we push off of it, and a good setup for a day trade. And that's what I look for, honestly. And I look for stocks that have good options to trade. I don't like trading too small of stocks unless it's something like AMC, because AMC has enough movement that you can make some money using options. Yeah, Ted, I did go over the Docu trade already. It's in the beginning of this video, and I will post it so you all can check that out. I do not use a scanner, Tony. I just use my eyes. I find all my levels just going through charts and looking. And for those of you that don't, you can join me pre-market on Instagram Live, and we go over all these levels together. Now, I'm going to say this again. I said it once. Any trade off the opening candle is higher risk. If you want to be patient and wait a little bit later, 15 minutes, 20 minutes after market opens before you trade, there's nothing wrong with that. The reason I trade opening candles sometimes is just what I'm good at. I know when to get out. I can admit I'm wrong very quickly. I don't try to hold on for hope. I either take my profits or I stop out at my entry most of the time. Or, if I do decide to let it ride, the only reason I would let it fall back below resistance is if the 9 EMA is sitting right below it, because sometimes you'll break and pull back and touch that 9 EMA, then go on. That's the only reason I would not stop out right at, as soon as we fell back below that. You just have to you just have to follow my Instagram. It'll pop up in my story, the link. If you follow me on Instagram, you should see it pop up. Does anyone else have any questions? I had so many people pumped about doing these. Not a lot of them showed up, though. You're welcome. I'm going to try to start doing these more often. I don't like seeing people lose money like they did on that Docu today. There was no reason to lose money on this trade. I know that's easier said than done sometimes, but honestly, we had that move up. You could have took profits here. We was up. Or, when we pulled back down, you should have stopped out at your entry price, or right below that 70. Should have been a very small loss. You should never be huge position size taking an opening break like this. Tony says, do you do limit or market orders? I usually start in the red when I do market orders. First off, I'm gonna go into details about this, because this is a very important question. Where to start? First off, you have to be watching the spreads. If you're going to scalp off the open, make sure your options spreads have updated. Sometimes it take them a second, and sometimes you have a huge spread, and it will feel you at that. Be very careful. Second, if it's a good stock like AMD, Walmart, if the spreads are close, you can buy ask or buy market. If you're trading something like Docu, for instance, where the spreads are a little rough, or maybe GME, you have to buy a limit. Okay, and you can do that inside your active trader. It's very easy to do on there. You can go check out my TOS active trader video if you want to see how I do it. You can buy a limit, but I always prefer to sell limit. No matter what order I get in buying, I like to sell limit if possible. If you need to get out of a trade immediately, you're going to have to sell market. Just have to pay attention to your bid and ask, honestly. It's a whole process. You can't slack in one department. You have to stay on top of all these different steps in trading. Yeah, on these gap fills, this was just a scalp. This should have been a scalp off the open, this first candle up. If you want to wait for a better entry on gap fills, just wait on the retest. It should have went up, come back down, retested this area, then continued on. If you failed this, you know not to enter. The retest would have been the safer entry for this trade. Did I answer your question, Tony? Was that good enough explanation on the limit and market orders? You're welcome. Anybody else have any questions? I still have some time here. I don't mind answering them. Appreciate you joining, Wendy. Maybe next time I need to bring something to teach. Have a topic to teach on to cover a little more time. Figured more people would have questions. Maybe I can cover some options, basics, or something next time. Maybe support and resistance, volume, something. What do you all think I should cover next video? What would you like me to teach on? Support and resistance? Okay, maybe we'll do a little support and resistance, volume. Yeah, that's good. I can go over volume. No, I just use active trader, Daniel. I set my stop loss using active trader. It's as simple as a click of a button.